Morning everyone! So I thought that I would put together a Zoom video for you just to look at some of the other tools that we may not be so familiar with, particularly with what's happening at the moment, to make the most of any meetings or events that you are going to be holding online, because it can be really fun and you can make it really interactive. It does take a little bit longer, so I would say that if you've got a half an hour Zoom call, please practice before, or just let them know that you're going to be trying something new. So one of the things that we do use quite often, but we don't actually use it in terms of collaboration, is the chat function. So what's really handy is putting a question in there, getting people to feedback without speaking, so you can rapidly get quite a lot of information. So if it's what's currently on your mind, or what do we want to work on, what do we want to talk about today, get them to use a group chat as if it was a question sort of poll, Slido mechanism. So that's a really useful way to actually get some rapid response back from them, because what we want to do is make the most of our online time, so we haven't got people that are just waiting to speak, because it becomes really difficult to manage quite a lot of people on Zoom. I know from the Coaching for Spread and Adoption course, if you've got more than 10 people, it can be that people start talking over each other or answering first, especially if you just put out an open question. It's very difficult to manage that then. Don't be afraid to mute people as well. So you've got the function when you look at the manage participants to actually mute people. So you can rename them as well. So if you've got people dialing in on the phone, it's always really useful to know who's who, especially when I go on to the next stage into the breakout rooms. So if you've got it ends in 845, ask them to shout out who they are, and I would change the name, rename them, so that you know exactly who you're moving into rooms. So that leads us on to the breakout rooms. We tried it on Jam on Friday, and there can be issues with it, but generally it works. So I would say that if you've got more than 4 people, you really should be trying to utilize breakout rooms. Now the point with this is if you've not got an account, so if there's 3 of us in the organisation that have accounts, as a coaching academy, the events team, and Ali and Anthony have one for corporate use. So you'll need to log in with those master details. You have to be the host in order to manage this. And when you click on breakout rooms, it should ask you to add breakout rooms. So you can see there I'll add number 7, and you can remove those as well. And when you've got a list of people, so you can only do this when people have arrived. So I would suggest that maybe do an icebreaker, allow people that are going to be late to get there, because it's always difficult assigning people if they've not turned up at the beginning. So do something for the first 5-10 minutes while you're starting, and then when everyone's here, just ask them for a couple of minutes while you assign people to rooms, and explain to them that they're going to get a message and they're going to be asked to join a room. All they need to do is literally click on that link, and then they'll be put into a separate Zoom room with whoever you'll put them in there with. As a host, you can go in, so you can actually then go into the rooms and have a chat with them. So if it's like a big assignment that you've given them, maybe, how can we improve spread and adoption of innovation within mental health, and you want them to have a half an hour chat, you can then split up your time and go into each breakout room as host. Or if you've got the ability to sort of put them into a couple of rooms, then you could maybe just actually assign different questions when you get into them and bring them back. So think about how much time you've got, and think about what you want to get from it, really. So it's entirely up to you. While they're in there, they won't be able to see you or hear you or see the screen, but they can click a little button to ask for help, so you can see if you need to go in and rescue anyone. So once you've done that, it'll say open all rooms. You'll open all the rooms. That's when they'll get the question to go in and start their conversations. And then when you want to pull them back out, it'll say close all rooms, just in this little button. And when you close the rooms, it gives them a 60-second warning. Some people may come straight back, but they tend to actually wait for the 60 seconds. So just so you know, you can always give them that advice. And then something that I thought was really innovative, I've seen from the Q Foundation, is actually using the annotation little option. So this was just an Innovation Scout webinar that I run, and you can see when you're sharing your screen you get this option for annotation. So if you click on here, I've just got a couple of copies of maps. It was interesting to find out where our Innovation Scouts were coming from. You can get them to use stamps, and they can actually get them, where am I clicking? There you go, somewhere out there on the M6, and you can get them to just put a stamp where they are and add some text in to identify that part of the map, and it'll come up there. And then what you can do is you can actually save everything, so it'll come up on the screen, and you can share that with other people that have attended, or if you're ready you can just clear all the drawings. And again, something to keep them quite active while they're using this could be that you could use calendars, any sort of template really where people can type text in. Obviously, you've got to be aware that when people are ringing in and they can't access it through the computer, the only alternative for them to use is the chat button. So they will add it into the chat and you will have to do it for them. So again, it'll slow down the process, but it is worth it to have a very clear picture at the end. I've used things like quality improvement tools. So this is one of our favourites at the Coaching Academy, the Eco Cycle. So people can then annotate on top of this, and they can, add in, where do you think you project's up to at the moment here, why is that, adding text, funding opportunity given, whatever it is that they think that they want to add. And it's great to see a map of things. Something else that you could do that's really useful is you could actually just give them a blank slide to add in the details. And again, if you want to remove everything, just clear all drawings and they can then type into that. Just be aware of the time it's going to take you to do things extra. Always practice so that you know exactly what you're up against. And I think that the main sort of blockage for me when I'm using Zoom tends to be the connectivity. So if we are having connection issues, what is the alternative? And the only thing that we can do when it gets to that point is to send out slides and ask for feedback. If it does get to a level where the internet access may be poor. I would always say that stopping videos are really useful. So if people can turn off the videos, it might give you a little bit extra network availability. But other than that, I think that if you are struggling and you're in the middle of things, then it's send them out the slides and get some feedback and maybe create a report at the end. I think that's the only way that I've been able to preempt or deal with an issue like that. Another good thing is to send them the slides out before the Zoom and get them to think about it before it actually starts. Get them to do that downtime before you join the meeting is always really useful too. So if I can share anything I've learned along the way, I'm more than happy to. Please contact me if you need any additional information for Zoom. Hope it goes well. Be brave and try new things. All right, everyone. Bye now.